I'm Becky from Vietnam. Today I'm going to talk about when advertisement for sustainable products work. Several months ago, I watched an advertisement of this brand, Earth's Choice. This is a household cleaning brand launched in Australia 20 years ago. The advertisement showed a starfish in a kitchen sink, an octopus in a mop bucket. All demonstrate the potential impacts of harmful household chemicals on the environment. The message, "Stop torturing our aquatic life, clean with Earth's Choice," changed my thinking about advertisement of green products. In Vietnam, the most common messages of green advertisement are environmentally friendly, protect the environment, protect your skin, or protect your family's health. The advertisement of green products in Vietnam seem to be limited in the tactics being used, and consumers in Vietnam do not pay attention to this advertisement. But in Australia and here in New Zealand, I found different messages. For example, "Stop torturing our aquatic life, go green without giving up performance, creating a greener footprint," and so on. Advertisers in New Zealand even use the image of dancing bear to generate fun and enjoyment to promote their green products. Because the tactics being used in Australia and in New Zealand have great impacts on me, I started to think that if these tactics are used in Vietnam, is it possible that Vietnamese consumers may love this advertisement and they may pay more attention to green advertisement and they might buy more green products? This can help protect the environment. However, because of the cultural differences, is it possible that Vietnamese consumers do not like this type of advertisement and they do not pay attention to this type of advertisement? This is the reason why I started my study. In my study, there are two main research questions. The first one is, how do consumers use their knowledge to evaluate green advertisement? And the second one is, why and how do consumers in various cultures respond to the same green advertisement? The scope of my research is limited to the perceived credibility. Recently, consumers have shown reluctance to believe green advertisement, and the perceived credibility is an important driver of behaviors and attitudes of consumers. In my research, the term green advertisement refers to the advertisement that encourage the adoption of environmentally friendly lifestyle by consuming green products of a specific brand or of a company. According to Freestart and Wright, consumers use existing knowledge to respond and to evaluate the advertising messages. This knowledge includes persuasion knowledge, topic knowledge, and agent knowledge. Persuasion knowledge is a set of interconnected beliefs, such as beliefs about the cause for persuasion, beliefs about the tactics, appropriateness, and effectiveness. Topic knowledge is the understanding of a topic or the content of persuasion message. For example, some people know a lot about sustainability or green products. Agent knowledge is the understanding of those who are responsible for the advertising campaign. These three types of knowledge help consumers choose the optimal response to the advertising messages. In the advertising context, most research using persuasion knowledge associate the use of the activation of persuasion knowledge with a defense mechanism, which can help consumers to resist the marketer's persuasion. These studies found that the activation of persuasion knowledge can reduce the perceived credibility. This study brought the persuasion knowledge from the perspective that consumers' main goal is to resist the marketer's persuasion. However, according to Freestart and Wright, consumers have different goals. For example, they want to refine their relationship with advertisers, or they want to enrich the knowledge of advertising tactics and advertisers. Their goal is not only to resist the marketer's persuasion. Therefore, Is it possible that the use of persuasion knowledge does not always create negative responses? Most consumers hold the perception that the advertiser's main goal is to create influential advertisement, and the perception of the methods advertisers used to influence consumers carries meaning for the consumers' responses, such as attitudes toward the advertising messages or influences of the advertisers. In this way, it might not be so meaningful whether consumers perceive the way that the advertisers persuade consumers to be persuasion attempts, but rather whether these persuasion attempts are effective. I anticipate that if consumers perceive the way in which the advertisement persuades consumers to be effective, they may think that the messages are more credible and the advertisers are more credible. This is very important because the perceived credibility is an essential driver of purchase intention. In addition to the use of persuasion knowledge, consumers may use agent knowledge and topic knowledge to evaluate the green credibility. Previous knowledge about an agent can serve as a cue for consumers to judge the credibility of the advertisers. And the understanding on a topic can help consumers to judge the logic and the accuracy of the evidence presented in the advertisement. I draw this model to explain the relationship between persuasion knowledge and credibility. Topic knowledge and agent knowledge can influence the perceived message credibility and perceived advertisers' credibility. When consumers activate persuasion knowledge, they evaluate whether the tactics being used are effective, and they base their credibility judgment on the tactic's effectiveness. Previous research has shown that sufficient cognitive resources are a prerequisite for the recall of persuasion knowledge. I anticipate that if the cognitive resources are unconstrained, consumers are more likely to activate persuasion knowledge, and then they base their credibility judgment on the tactic's effectiveness evaluation. In summary, this is the model that helps me to answer the first research question: how do consumers use their knowledge to evaluate the credibility of green advertisement? In my research, there are another research question. Why and how do consumers in various cultures perceive different levels of credibility when they are exposed to the same green advertisement? The regulatory focus theory proposed two separate self-regulatory orientations: promotion and prevention. In the advertising context, the advertiser can frame the advertising message in terms of self-regulatory orientations to create a just feel right experience or the fit experience. For example, the advertiser can frame the advertising messages in terms of promotion representation like fun and enjoyment to create the just feel right experience. And the advertiser can also frame the advertising messages in terms of prevention representation, for example, safety and security for consumers with stronger prevention-focused orientation to create this just feel right experience. I anticipate that when consumers activate persuasion knowledge to evaluate a tactic's effectiveness, if they perceive the fit, the just feel right experience, they will think that the tactics are more effective, and this can influence the perceived credibility of the advertising messages. Previous research has shown that consumers in Western culture are more likely to have stronger promotion-focused orientation. whereas consumers in Eastern Asian cultures are more likely to have stronger prevention-focused orientation. This means that the advertiser should frame the advertising messages in terms of promotion representation for consumers in Western cultures to create a just feel right experience, to create a fit experience. And they should frame the advertising messages in terms of prevention representation for consumers in Eastern Asian cultures to create a fit experience. However, the context in the green advertising context, previous research has shown that green advertisement can induce the contextual thought, and this can influence the self-view perspective of consumers. Is it possible that consumers' regulatory orientation interact with this contextual thoughts, and this can influence the perceived fit, the just feel right experience of consumers when they are exposed to the advertising messages. And this, in turn, will influence the perceived effectiveness of the advertising messages. Based on the above discussion, I brought this model. First one, this model can help me to explain the process of how consumers use existing knowledge to judge the credibility of green advertisement. And this model can also help me to answer the second question: why and how do consumers in different cultures perceive different levels of credibility when they are exposed to the same green advertisement? In order to explore this framework, I intend to test the common tactics being used in New Zealand, in Australia, and in Vietnam to find out how consumers in those countries can evaluate the effectiveness of the messages and how they judge the credibility of green advertisement. Thank you very much for listening.
Do you have any questions for Becky in regards to her research?
Yes, please.
Do you think you'll find that consumers in Vietnam respond? Do you think it's possible that they'll respond very well to the kinds of advertising that are used in Australia and New Zealand?
Is it possible? Is it possible? Because this is very new for them. So is it possible that they will think this is very creative, and they think maybe it's effective, and then they will think this is more credible because it's new to them. Yes.
I'd still like to see that octopus in a bucket and see what the enemies think.
Yeah. Consumers may think that because the way that consumers perceive the effectiveness of a message depends on the psychological causes, so that the message is induced. So because in the first advertisement, the advertisement showed the image of a starfish in the kitchen sink or an octopus in the mop bucket, it induced the sense of responsibility. And Vietnamese consumers, they are more sensitive. It is said previous research has shown that Vietnamese consumers are more sensitive to the sense of responsibility. So I think that if the advertisement showed the message that induced the sense of responsibility, consumers in Vietnam might think, wow, this is so effective. And then they may think, this is more credible. Yes.
Are you like measuring or having a previous knowledge of consumers or the people you're testing, of their knowledge on green products and all that stuff? Like, do you know that they have the same, let's say, starting point? Because there's people who are more aware about this and there's people who totally new.
Yes.
So how can you make a difference between the response of someone with knowledge
yes.
and someone no knowledge?
Yes, thank you very much for your question. I will give them a survey first to identify how much they know about green products or sustainability. And then I will do an experiment to for the later step. Yes. Yes, please.
So you have compared that Eastern and Western, that Eastern are more towards safety and security, and Western
Yes.
are more towards fun and enjoyment.
Yes.
Do you think economic and the per capita income also plays a role? How much people are aware in the Eastern and how much people are not aware? How much people are aware in the Eastern countries? But what I believe is the more people are aware of the environment, the environment, the concerns that are for environment, more people are aware of it in the Western countries as compared to that literacy rate is more here, and less literacy is in the Eastern countries.
Yeah, thank you very. Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, the issue environmentally friendly products and environmental issues are raising more concern in Western and also in Eastern countries, in Asian countries. So in Vietnam, more people are concerned about the environment, and it's not limited in the Western cultures, but also expanding. It's growing in all, I think, in all over the world, and also in Vietnam.
In your research in Eastern countries, you have only considered Vietnam.
I'm sorry?
Is it only Vietnam is considered in the Eastern countries?
Yeah.
Only Vietnam is a...
No, no. Maybe China and Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia are all Eastern Asian countries. Yes.
Thank you. I would like to, on behalf of the University Postgraduate Centre, present you this little token of our appreciations for your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening.